haven't needed a miracle. They have had the talent to win 108 games, to win the National League East by 21.5 games.
This is as close as you get until you do it. Ground ball to the right side of the infield. Backman has it to Hernandez. Mets win. It's over. Keith Hernandez took the throw, and oh my goodness, the fans are storming the field. Oh, watch it.
Look out.
Watch it.
It's gone.
Home run.
Oh, baby.
What a comeback.
The Houston Astros were not a large part of any preseason conversation, but they started strong and they stayed strong, winning the National League West with a club record 96 wins. And no clincher was ever more dramatic than Houston. A no-hitter by Mike Scott.
Now the hitter is Will Clark. He's 0 for 3. Swing and a bouncer. This could be it. Davis runs to the bag. Game is over. No hitter. Astros win the championship. What a way to do it. A no hitter. Mike Scott has just thrown his first career no hitter, and the Astros are the National League champions of the West.
ABC Sports is proud to present the National League Championship Series of 1986. The New York Mets, champions of the East, and the Houston Astros, champions of the West. In the opening game, the pitchers, Dwight Gooden for the Mets, they call him Dr. K for good reason. Mike Scott for the Astros. Lately, he's been called great, also for good reason. When it opened in April 1965, it was called the eighth wonder of the world, the Astrodome. It was so impressive, even the name of the primary tenant was changed from Colt 45s to the Houston Astros. That's part of the compromise, I guess, of moving the game of baseball indoors. Hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson, and welcome to the 1976 National League Championship Series. As you know, I am sure this, for the second year, is a best of 7, and many people feel this matchup between the Astros and the Mets could well go the limit. These two teams came into being in 1962. The Mets have been to 2 World Series. They won in 69, they lost in 73. The Astros have never been to the World Series. They were the Western Division champions in 1980, but they lost in 5 games to the Philadelphia Phillies, one of the great playoff series of all time. And one picture still sticks in my mind in the aftermath of that exciting series. It was this. Outfielder, the brilliant outfielder of the Houston Astros, Jose Cruz, sitting all by himself, tears running down his face after the great effort. So close, but just 1 run short. And I should tell you, it is still a burr under the saddle of 6 of these Houston Astros who took part. We'll talk specifics about this series with Tim McCarver in just a moment.
This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Castro, the motor oil engineered for today's smaller cars.
Every day, we face a simple truth. The world is getting more and more complex. Technology from a company called TRW helps find patterns in complexity. It gives us perspective. So when we look at the world, it's a little simpler to understand. Tomorrow is taking shape at a company called TRW.
Honey, I'll only be a minute. I just need to pick up this one thing.
Kmart, where more people shop.
Shoot it down, Mac.
And shop. And shop. Than anywhere else.
So what happened to the one thing?
It's in there.
America's
the saving place.
Our analyst for our coverage of the National League Championship Series, a man who worked behind the plate for 21 years with the St. Louis Cardinals, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Boston Red Sox, a half year in Montreal, and he can still walk. But he's one of the great ones, 21 years, Tim McCarver. Timmy, you get looking at these two teams and the pitching staffs, you get infatuated with it. Do you think anybody's going to score any runs, or we're going to have a week-long game?
Well, the reason you become infatuated with the pitching staffs is that the New York Mets lead the league in ERA, and the Houston Astros are second. As a matter of fact, I'd be very, very surprised if either club scored more than 5 runs, even if the games went to 7 games, the maximum. The New York Mets are going with a 4-man starting staff, headed by Dwight Gooden tonight, of course, and Mike Scott heads a 3-man staff, and depending on how many pitches Scott throws tonight, he will probably come back on Sunday. Both bullpens are strong. However, the Mets have a bullpen that includes Roger McDowell, a right-hander, and Jesse Orosco, a left-hander. And the Houston Astros, while they have Dave Smith with 33 saves on the year, are missing one element.
Keith Hernandez says this.
I think that you have to have left-handers in the bullpen to beat us. We got Darryl Strawberry and myself. We got with left-handers pitching. We don't have Backman and Dykstra in the lineup. And I feel that if you don't have the left-handers to do that, to turn us around, I think that's a negative. I think all the clubs this year, particularly St. Louis, brought in left-handers in relief after we knocked out a starter. They have DeShays who's going to be there, and Calhoun. And both are obviously good pitchers. But you've got DeShays in a situation he's never been in before. He started all year, and he has a tendency to be a wild high. So that could be a key, but then again, that couldn't be a key. Who's to say? It's just going to be a real tough series.
Well, Jim DeShays won 12 games, but primarily as a starter this year. Jeff Calhoun could be a situation pitcher where he comes in the middle innings. The one problem, I think both managers are going to go with their starters so long that I think all long relievers are going to be out unless the games become extra inning ball games.
Could be, and you know, there's always Walter Mitty jumps up every year, doesn't he?
Certainly
you never know who he's going to be. So it could be Calhoun. It could be almost anybody on either side. But let's go now to the offensive side of it, presuming we do have some base runners in this series. And I thought it was interesting to talk to Hal Lanier as to whether or not he might change his tactics, maybe a different kind of a game plan in a 7-game series. So I put the question to him, and this is how he answered it yesterday.
No, Keith, I think, we have to stay within ourselves. That's the most important thing in the playoffs, and especially during the season, too. But, we've played very aggressive ball throughout the whole season, and we're going to continue to play that. We have to get our first 2 people on. We have to steal bases. We have to put pressure on the defense. And this is one of the reasons why we won the Western Division and why we won 96 ball games. So, they're going to have the green light unless, we get way behind and late in the ball game and where we need a 3-run home run from a Glenn Davis or whoever. We'll put the hole on them. But other than that, we're going to play the same brand of baseball that we played throughout the whole season.
You've got to expect them to be hauling it. If they do get those first 2 guys on, they got to be running on Gary.
There's no doubt about it. But Gary's really better than Alan Ashby. I like Gary's chances better than I do Ashby's. And both staffs are going to make it tough on the catchers because both staffs are slow to home plate. But we're going to probably do a little pitching out or something early, give them something to think about.
I think that's one of the most revealing things. The passive baseball viewer may not realize that most of that burden of holding those guys or keeping the guys from running from base to base to base belongs to the pitcher.
As a matter of fact, Dwight Gooden, with his illustrious career, he's won 58 games, and he's allowed 109 stolen bases, and only 19 have been caught stealing while he's been pitching. I think one of the keys was when Davey Johnson said that his catcher, Gary Carter, will be pitching out. Carter threw better in the last half than he did in the first half, and Alan Ashby's always been an underrated catcher, in my opinion.
Okay, the California Angels and Boston Red Sox are now 1-1 in their series, and Jim Lampley will update us on that after this.
Green Bay, Wisconsin, 20 below. The last place you'd want to be with the cold, unless you're the Green Bay Packer backers. So we asked them to try Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
That stuff just clear out my head.
Should have found it a long time ago. Got rid of my aches and pains.
Straight up my runny nose. Alka-Seltzer Plus, that's all I ever needed.
8 of every 10 Packer backers who tried it switched to Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds. Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
An ABC News brief brought to you by Arid Extra Dry. Now from Washington, Jed Covell.
Good evening. Bernard Kalb, the Reagan administration's chief foreign policy spokesman, resigned in protest today. Kalb said he was leaving because of the administration's policy of misleading the American public and the press about Libya. In Nicaragua, the Sandinistas paraded onto a stage a captured American, Eugene Hasenfuss. They also displayed documents allegedly showing the man to be a U.S. military advisor. President Reagan today denied Hasenfuss and his downed plane had any connection with the U.S. government. Later on Nightline, the subject of disinformation among our guests, Bernard Kalb. Now this.
Sometimes I think, Brooke, would you like him to get a little closer? And then I think, yeah, I'd like him to get a little closer. That's when I'm glad I've got Arid Extra Dry Solid. Arid fights wetness ordinary deodorant sticks can't.
More news later.
The National Leaguers are about to start at the Astrodome in Houston, but the American Leaguers have been going at it for a couple of days at Fenway in Boston. Here's Jim Lampley to bring us up to date on it.
In 16 hours, the Angels' level of play went from sublime to ridiculous as California generously helped Boston to victory in Game 2. Fenway Park's vast infield and blinding sunlight apparent from the outset, and they helped to set up the second of 2 RBI hits by Red Sox second baseman Marty Barrett. After 2 innings, it was 2-0 Boston. But with the margin at 2-1 in the 5th, California got back into it as hot-hitting Wally Joyner launched a Bruce Hurst pitch into the right center field bullpen, tying it up at 2-2. Then the game's pivotal sequence. Bottom of the 5th, 2 on, 2 out. Dwight Evans' pop fly, lost in the sun behind second base by Bobby Grich. It led to what was called an Evans double and drove in the tie-breaking run. In the 7th, 3 Angel errors led to 3 Boston runs, and the Red Sox and Hurst went on to waltz to the 9-2 win over Kurt McCaskill and the Angels, evening the American League Championship playoff series at 1 game apiece.
So the crowd is now filling the Astrodome, and we'll be back with Game 1 of the National League Championship Series after this word from your local station.
Saturday, Heisman candidate Vinny Testaverde leads #1 Miami against West Virginia. Or 6th ranked Oklahoma takes on Texas. Coverage begins with college football today.
Where are the Thundercats? We don't know, Master. Who's the cauldron will tell us?
You will find the Thundercats at Burger King for a limited time only. Introducing Thundercats meal packs for your kids with a Snarf straw holder, a Thundercats bank, and 2 other Thundercats treasures, a different one each week.
We must get them!
Sorry, Reptile. Our powers work for good, not evil.
Thundercats meal packs for your kids, now only at Burger King.
Thirsty. It's just part of my job. But I have my own ideas about thirst quenchers. USA Wet tastes good, and it doesn't have that aftertaste. When you work up a thirst, USA Wet has what your body needs and tastes better.
USA Wet. Finally, a sports drink that tastes good. Now in 3 delicious flavors.
Wet. Never tasted so good.
You're invited to a groundbreaking. The new Nissan Pathfinder 4x4. Now there's Pathfinder's off-road ruggedness, 3-liter V6 power, 235 tires, and extra long wheelbase. Now there's Pathfinder's civilized ride, cabin-adjustable coil spring suspension, and rich interior. Nissan Pathfinder. Now the adventure begins. The breakthrough is Pathfinder. The name is Nissan.
Texas and Oklahoma, Saturday afternoon at 2 here on 13.
This is the 25th year for the New York Mets and the Houston Astros, and tonight they play Game 1 in the 1986 National League Championship Series.
America, today's Chevrolet. By Coors and Coors Light, beers with a difference worth tasting. By IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers. And by Allstate. For home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate.
We're standing by for the introduction of the starters in tonight's ball game. The other players are being introduced at this time. And Tim McCarver, I expect when the Mets starters are introduced, this Houston crowd's going to jump on them. In case you don't know, they had a little thing down here earlier in the year in which 4 players got into a scuffle at a bar with some of the Houston police. And the players lost. There's been a to-do about it. 2 of them arraigned, and they're coming back down here for a trial, I guess, later this year, probably in November. But all that did was help to season the rivalry between these 2 people in a building that I guess ranks as one of the loudest in the country.
As a matter of fact, it started a rivalry that was non-existent up until that time. The one thing about this ballpark, the noise cannot escape. It gets very, very loud here.
All right, now here are the introduction of the starting players for tonight's ball game. The PA announcer is J. Fred Duckett.
And now here are the starting lineups for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series for the Eastern Division champion Mets. The manager, number 5, Davey Johnson. Leading off, igniter of the Mets offense. He stole 31 bases. Number 4, center fielder Len Dykstra. Batting second, he hit a career-high 320 during the regular season. Number 6, second baseman Wally Backman. Batting third, he finished among the league leaders in batting average, hit, runs, and game-winning RBIs. Number 17, first baseman Keith Hernandez. Batting fourth, the only Mets player to knock in 100 or more runs in 2 seasons. Number 8, catcher Gary Carter. Batting fifth, he became the first National Leaguer to be voted a starter on the All-Star team in each of his first 3 Major League seasons. Number 18, right fielder Darryl Strawberry. Batting sixth, he's been with the Mets longer than any other current Mets player. Number 1, left fielder Mookie Wilson. Batting seventh, 8th leading hitter in the National League. Number 22, third baseman Ray Knight. Batting eighth, he hit .280 in the last 33 games of the season. Number 3, shortstop Rafael Santana. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, the 1985 Cy Young Award winner, number 16, Dwight Gooden. And now for your Western Division champion, Houston Astros. The manager, number 22, Hal Lanier. Leading off, he was second on the club and 8th in the National League in stolen bases. Number 28, center fielder Billy Paxton. And second, he led the Astros in walks, runs, and stolen bases. Number 19, second baseman Bill Doran. Batting third, he set career highs in every offensive category of the season. Number 29, third baseman Danny Walling. Batting fourth, the second Astro ever to hit 30 home runs in a season. Number 27, first baseman Glenn Davis. Batting fifth, he had the 4th highest batting average in the National League. Number 17, right fielder Kevin Vine. Batting sixth, 4-time Astros most valuable player, number 25, left fielder Jose Cruz. Batting seventh, he has caught 3 no-hitters in his Major League career. Number 14, catcher Alan Ashby. Batting eighth, a native Houstonian who's making his 2nd league championship appearance. Number 12, shortstop Greg Reynolds. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, he became only the 2nd right-hander and 4th National League hurler to strike out 300 batters in the season. Number 33, Mike Scott. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you will please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Texas Army National Guard.
I can just imagine the public address announcer at Shea Stadium already beginning to hone for his introduction when they come back there. Michael White now will sing the national anthem.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Mets and your Houston Astros invite you to honor America and join Michael White in the singing of our national anthem.
Twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Well, it's been a pretty good year in the city of Houston. They had the Rockets playing for the NBA championship. Now they've got the Astros going for the National League pennant.
Panasonic, the future of office automation. Advanced equipment with an extraordinary concept. The easier, the better. Panasonic Genesis copiers are most sophisticated yet simplest to use ever. So easy, they automatically adjust for proper size and exposure. All you duplicate are your copies, not your efforts. Panasonic Genesis copiers. Like our typewriters, computers, and peripherals, the easier, the better. Panasonic Office Automation.
10 years ago, a big engine job used to cost this much money. 5 years ago, this much. Today, this much. So now it's even more important to take care of your car right, including changing your oil, putting in a new Fram oil filter when you're supposed to. After all, a Fram filter doesn't cost much. A big engine job does. But the choice is yours. You can pay me now or pay me later.
This is an AT&T long-distance command center where our engineers make sure your calls go right through. It's a unique system only AT&T can bring you, with thousands of ways to get from here to there. And there are 7 more centers like it, because we're not about to take chances that busy circuits could keep you waiting.
Well, she definitely has my hair.
For over 100 years, when you reached out, we were there. And you can keep it that way. AT&T, the right choice.
I don't need drugs. I believe in me and my ability. I don't want anything interfering with the way I play the game. Cocaine's no way to believe in yourself. It can kill you. If you're into cocaine, get off it. You're living a lie. Get off it while you still have a life.
Cocaine, the big lie. Call 1-800-662-HELP. Furnished by Major League Baseball in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Tonight on Nightline with Ted Koppel, when our leaders lie to us to deceive our enemies, does it undermine democracy? The controversy over a recent U.S. disinformation campaign.
And now to throw out the first pitch to get the 1986 National League Championship Series underway, the Vice President of the United States, George Bush, called Houston home. And you know what? He knows what he's doing, because he was the captain of the 1948 Yale team. Wait a minute, I take it back. I tell you, the kind of schedule and rigors of life that this man goes through on a daily basis right now would shorten up your throw a little bit anyway.
He deserves to lose a couple of yards off the fastball. That's right.
He's going to stop by and visit with us in a little while, but he has a baseball background. Played on the Yale team, first baseman, 47 and 48, and captained the team in 1948. All right, we're ready to go as the Houston Astros take the field, and Mike Scott goes toward the pitching mound, and there's been a lot made about Mike Scott scuffing the ball. I put the question to the New York Mets manager, Davey Johnson, yesterday, and this was his reply.
Well, not really. I'm going to leave that up to each individual player. If they don't like the way the ball acted, they can certainly have the right to ask the umpire to look at it. Unfortunately, while we're in Houston, the ball, if it's thrown out, is thrown out on the wrong side, so I can't look at it. But I'm sure that the umpires will take things in their hands if a lot of the balls are being scuffed.
Gary Carter has been the fellow that has been making most of the noise, I guess, about Mike Scott scuffing the ball. And Doug Harvey is behind the plate tonight, and I talked to him, and if we have an opportunity, we'll drop that little bit of information and his perspective of it in. All right, the Astros are in the field. Outside, it is Cruz, Hatcher, and Bass in the outer perimeter. Inside on the infield, it is Davis at first, Doran at second, Reynolds at short, Walling at third. Denny Walling playing third tonight. Phil Garner probably be over there tomorrow night. Alan Ashby back at the plate. Mike Scott with a record of 18 and 10, an earned run average of 2.22, is on the mound. And though he gets most of his publicity off his split-fingered fastball, he has some other tools as well.
He's got an outstanding fastball, but his split-finger fastball is the pitch that's really turned him around. As a matter of fact, Tony Gwynn, line hitter of the San Diego Padres, put it best. He said if everybody in the league threw the split-finger fastball like Mike Scott, then the hitters would be out of a job, and all you'd need would be pitchers and catchers. That's how effective he has been this year.
And he freely loves to advertise the fact that he doesn't know where it's going either.
That's right.
All right, the Mets are ready to go as Lenny Dykstra comes to the plate. He has walked 58 times. He has struck out 56 times as .295 batting average, followed by Wally Backman and then Keith Hernandez. Very important, these first two men in the batting order for both teams. Third baseman Walling comes in. Dykstra loves to punt it. Rolls it sharply down to first. Glenn Davis picks it up and tags him out. He's got one away on one pitch.
Glenn Davis actually in front of first base. And that's where infielders align themselves. The first baseman playing in even with the line, and the third baseman way in. And that was no contest. Dykstra tried to get that ball in the direction of the second baseman and hit the seam between the pitcher and the first baseman, but was unsuccessful.
They play on the artificial surface here, the rug, but this is not a hot rug. It is not like Cincinnati. It is not like Philadelphia. The ball just simply does not ricochet and gain momentum on this turf, artificial turf, like it does in some other ballparks. Now it is Wally Backman. Hits the ball to the shortstop Reynolds. Craig handles it, his throw across, pulls him off the bag. Error on the throw by Reynolds. Backman has speed, and he went hustling down the line, and the Mets have the first base runner of the series with Keith Hernandez coming to the plate.
Well, once Craig Reynolds takes the step back to field the ball, he's back on his heels. Now when he plants, he takes a little bit too much time, and he makes a high throw, and Backman beats the throw. Once you take that step back, then you're beaten, especially with a guy who can run like Backman.
Al Lanier passing some information onto the field. The coaches for New York: Bud Harrelson at third, Bill Robinson at first, and poison for a lot of ball clubs is at the plate. Keith Hernandez. See the numbers for Keith. He's also a rather patient fellow. He's walked 94 times this year, struck out only 69 times. Fastball is pumped in for a strike on Hernandez. As Blackman, you see him getting off first base, at least going as far to hook 1 foot on the rug.
That's what Hal Lanier was worried about. When a team's out on defense, the reason a manager would give signs, he's giving it to his catcher. You see Alan Ashby always looking at the dugout because Hal Lanier realizes the Mets run just like his ball club does.
Scott's move to first is not bad.
There's Hal giving those signs right there. He's giving those signs to Alan Ashby. And this would be an ideal spot in which to pitch out.
That was close.
That's how good Scott's move can be. Look how close this was. Backman just in there. Nice quick tag by Glenn Davis,
whose work around the bag at first base has improved steadily, too.
Yes, sir.
1 out. Blackman again edging off, and Hernandez in with a strike on him. Blackman goes, and Hernandez fouls it back out of play. Wally wound it up pretty quick that time. He had a fair jump.
And it was the hit and run, and you saw Lanier with the signs with Alan Ashby. And it really becomes a guessing game between the catcher and the hitter, or the catcher and manager tandem and the hitter.
Gary Carter is the man on deck. 2-strike count on Keith Hernandez. Swing and a miss, and he struck him out. That did not look like the split finger.
No, that was a high fastball. And you don't often see Hernandez go for a pitch out of the strike zone, but you will notice that Dwight Gooden and Mike Scott with their fastballs are very, very effective up in the strike zone. Gooden's the same way.
Now Gary Carter. He's been the big noise with 105 runs batted in and 24 home runs for the Mets this season. Strong had good rest while he was on injured. The injured list. There's your split-fingered fastball. Just dove off the table, and Gary swung and missed it. Throws it just like his fastball, same motion, but he's got to come over the top of it to get it into the strike zone. Wally Backman on first, 2 down. Not quite as bold now. He's not out on the rug, and Scott chases him back one more time. Darryl Strawberry waiting if Carter gets aboard.
Backman will be less inclined to run right now because Carter not only is a right-handed hitter and the catcher has a better view towards second base and is not impeded by the runner at first, but also Carter's a power hitter. So Wally will probably allow Gary to hit in this situation as opposed to Hernandez when he had the hit and run on.
Jose Cruz way back in left field for Carter. Hatcher deep in center. They move the fences in some here at the Dome. The ball does crawl over it more often. Now Gary Carter wants him to look at the ball. I mean, that thing just exploded.
Well, it really did. No sooner than Carter swung the bat, he turns around and asked Doug Harvey to check the ball. From a psychological standpoint, you don't know whether having him check the ball that quickly works to the advantage of the Mets or to the disadvantage of the Mets. They may be worrying about the wrong thing.
Two-strike pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Mike Scott strikes out 2 of the 4 Mets he faces. New York leads Bachman on first, and after a half inning of play, there is no score, and the controversy has already started over whether or not Scott's doing something to the ball. And as Tim McCarver says, it could be they're fussing about the wrong thing.
When we want to work up a sweat, nothing works like this full-size Chevy pickup. Got the muscle of a fuel-injected 350 V8. And it's available in every full-size Chevy. It's got the strength of girder main front suspension. Where? There. Plus, double-wall construction. So, when you need a tough-working partner, nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing. Yeah? Yeah. Right?
You know, the weirdest things happened to me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I mean, here I am stocking up for Halloween. I got my steak, got my ribs. Then when I asked the stock boy where the Coors Light is at, he points me to the Coors and Coors Light Halloween display, and I'm on it. Whoa, it's like deja vu. Whoa, it's like deja vu. Look for it where you buy beer. I shop here because they slash prices. There goes another one. Happy Halloween, darling.
We'll go now to the bottom of the first inning. For the Houston Astros, the New York Mets defensively will line up this way. In left field, Mookie Wilson, Lynn Dykstra center, Darryl Strawberry right. Inside, it's Keith Hernandez at first, Wally Backman second, Rafael Santana short, Ray Knight third, Gary Carter back at the plate. And Dwight Gooden on the mound with a record of 17-6, 2.84 earned run average, and he is the first Major League pitcher in his first 3 seasons to strike out 200 or more in each season.
His lifetime record is 58-19, and it's amazing that he is going against Mike Scott tonight because Dwight Gooden, his nickname is Doctor, and of course we've already seen that Scott has been accused of doctoring the ball already.
The umpires, Doug Harvey back at the plate, Lee Wire at first, Frank Pulley second, Dutch Wynn at third. Left field line is Joe West, right side is Fred Brocklin. Doug Harvey, of course, was the man involved in that now famous did he catch it or didn't he involving Vern Rule in the series in 1980 between the Phillies and the Astros. Very complicated moment in the life of an umpire. Billy Hatcher, line drive hitter, very aggressive on the bases. And Dwight Gooden's first pitch is ball 1. Hatcher has walked 22 times, struck out 52 times, so he's hacking when he comes up. High pop left side. Ray Knight coming over, and Ray can't get it. Ray Knight, of course, was a member of the Houston Astros organization before he went on to New York, and at times it seemed he was going to blossom in Houston, but he never did. But he's a gamer. Let me tell you, he's a gamer.
Well, an indication of his gamesmanship came out with the year he had this year after being written off by almost everybody.
Hatcher tries to lay it down and can't get a piece of it, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. What a moment for a 21-year-old, huh? Quite good.
3 years in the major leagues. He's already had 2 books and a rap record.
That's a foul ball, not a play. A rap record?
A rap record. He has got a new album out, and he's backed up by Mellow Mel. I love it. Mellow Mel. That's the backup. Here he's not even 22 years old yet.
Talking about wedding next year, though. He'll be 22 in November this year. A 1-ball, 2-strike count to Billy Hatcher. Foul back. When it's working for him, a wicked, wicked curveball. Hatcher has not seen it yet. Dennis Menke coaching at third, Matt Galante at first. For Houston, Hatcher hits the ball to left field. In play. Curveball. Hatcher jumped on it, lifted it out to Mookie Wilson for out number 1.
That was not a good curveball. It was a curveball that was up, but it shows you how Gooden can get away with high curveballs because it's so unexpected when a hitter gets it. They've got to be geared for the fastball.
Now it's Bill Doran. 81 times he walked this year. Struck out only 57 times. Much foul left side, out of play. He batted leadoff until mid-August, pulled a groin muscle. He came back to the lineup. He had a little trouble running, getting speed, particularly getting going. So Hal Lanier moved Billy Hatcher into the leadoff spot, dropping Doran into the number 2 spot. Denny Walling is on deck, waiting for a chance. And Gooden is low and away. There's Lori, pretty wife for Bill. Pitch is high. 2 balls, 1 strike. Give you some idea of the matchup you're looking at right now. Lifted softly left field. Wilson coming in a hurry. He makes the catch. 2 down. Now Denny Walling. Guy that's got a half a dozen gloves in his locker. He can play almost any place for you. He went on a tear. Finished the season strong. Batting .312 with 13 home runs and 58 runs batted in.
And he's the most dangerous hitter in the Astro lineup against Gooden. With all due respect to Glenn Davis, who had 31 home runs, and he's on deck. Walling, a very, very smart hitter, and rarely swings at the first pitch.
And White starts him with a slow curveball for a strike.
That's the key to Walling. You've got to stay ahead of him, because if you don't, he sits on that fastball, and he doesn't foul it back. He hits it a long way. He has 1 home run this year against Gooden.
Curve again. This one's high. Count even at 1-1. Strawberry showing respect and right. He's well back. Fastball. Foul. Right side. Well, Denny showed right there. He was sitting on the heater.
And he fouled it off because he had seen 2 curveballs first. That makes a fastball hitter think curveball. And then you can throw. It's not that you can't throw a fastball hitter a fastball. That's absurd. But when you do it, you want to do it after showing him something else. In the process, you do run the danger of falling behind in the count, however.
2 out, nobody on. 1-2 count on Walling. Fly ball, left field. Mookie Wilson off a broken back fly ball. Makes the catch. So Mookie gets all 3 putouts. In the bottom of the first inning, we played 1 at the Astrodome, and there is no score between the Mets and the Astros.
You might be able to make it on your old antifreeze another year, but then again, you just might find yourself left out in the cold. Driving just 10,000 miles on weak, neglected antifreeze can cause freeze-up and make a radiator look this bad, while the Prestone radiator looks this good. So, for maximum protection, don't push your luck. Change it once a year, every year, with fresh Prestone.
Where you been? Busy. My son's home with the family.
From the city? Must have cost a bundle.
He just got a big promotion.
Your son?
Yep. The business was growing too fast. The right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing.
He finally knows his right hand from his left.
He knew IBM could help. They've got computers and software for any size business. He put computers on everyone's desk. Used something called telecommunications to tie all their offices together. Now everyone knows what's going on, from L.A. to New York.
No one understands what's going on in New York. How'd your son know IBM did all that?
He's a smart boy.
Smart boy, I'll say.
Smart boy. Who'd he take after?
The split-fingered fastball was part of the conversation I had with Mike Scott. Here's what he says about it.
It's the exact same motion as I use when I throw my fastball. I think that's why it's been so easy on my arm this year. I don't really, there's no tricks to it. It's exactly what the pitch says. I split my fingers and throw a fastball.
Are you among the legion of pitchers, even though you've had a remarkable season, that ball may be a little hotter this year than it has in times past?
Well, I don't know. I just, maybe I'm lucky that my fingers are the right size, or I think you have to throw hard, and I throw hard, so that makes the ball move a little bit more. But it just was a real easy pitch for me to pick up after I talked to Roger Craig. We spent about 10 days and threw about 7, and after that, I just basically got my arm in shape, threw it in spring training, and the pitch came around.
And right now he's pitching to Darryl Strawberry, to be followed by Mookie Wilson and Ray Knight. Strawberry in at .259 on the year, but with 93 runs batted in and 27 home runs. It's 1 ball and 1 strike on Darryl. Another interesting thing about Strawberry, with that long stroke that he has, he did strike out 141 times this year.
Yeah, with that long stroke, if he connects with a lot of power. Watch how he curls that bat from this angle.
Just outside. Two balls and a strike. There was a conversation between Bill Robinson, the first base coach, and Doug Harvey, the plate umpire, as Robbie was on his way to first base. And undoubtedly they were talking about it. That time, Scott comes with a breaking pitch and nails the inside corner, and it's 2-2.
Earlier in the year, as a matter of fact, Bill Robinson and Rick Rhoden of the Pittsburgh Pirates had a fight. Both benches emptied because they thought Rhoden was scuffing the ball.
Struck him out. He looks tough.
Oh, this is not a split finger here. This is a tailing fastball. Now watch how it starts out inside and then comes back to catch the inside corner. See that little tail on the end? And a lot of left-handers give up on that pitch because of the late action on the fastball.
Now it's Mookie Wilson. He jumped on the fastball on the first pitch. Mookie at 289. Good, solid baseball player, this fellow. Inside. He was moved from center to left field, as many of you in the New York area, or those who follow the Mets, know well. He didn't say anybody, went over, did the best he could, because they needed to make some room for that shot foul. And it almost picked off somebody in the photographer's pin down there. But Mookie's been all over the lineup this year. He's been 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. And he just came, checked the lineup, and went to work. High fastball struck him out. Scott now has struck out 4 in a row. That will tie a league championship record of Milt Wilcox in striking out 4 successive batters.
Well, if he keeps throwing like that, he's going to break a lot of records tonight. 2 games ago, he threw a no-hitter, and then the next game, he threw 6 innings against the same ball club, the San Francisco Giants. 15 and 2/3 consecutive innings of no-hit ball. He is throwing some gas tonight, I'm telling you.
Ray Knight at the plate. Foul ball, right side. Ray Knight is one of those who gives the split finger business little thought. He just looks for a pitch he can hit. That may be the best way to approach it. Go worrying about it, you've just added to your burden. Lifted to center. Hatcher coming. Makes the catch. So Mike Scott retires the New York Mets in order in the top of the second inning. And after an inning and a half in the Astrodome, there is no score. And you can see here that was a dying Quail hit out into center, and Hatcher had a long way to come to get it. But he did it.
If your home was destroyed, would your insurance pay to completely rebuild it? Fact is, even with an inflation clause, your policy may not cover today's higher rebuilding costs.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
Allstate can make sure you're protected. With an Allstate home replacement cost guarantee, we'll pay to completely rebuild your home, no matter what the cost.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Everyone needs a little adventure in their life. So why not enter the Great Stanley Tool Adventure? You could win a Chevy S10 Blazer to get you away from it all. A Mercury-powered Larson boat to put you in the middle of nature. And $1,000 in Stanley tools to help you do things right. The Blazer, the boat, the motor, the tools, you could win it all in the Great Stanley Adventure.
I think this dock needs a little more work.
I got a lot of Stanley tools.
We're here live with Arby's World Series winners game. How about a prediction on the outcome? Bill?
Well, Bert, that's easy. With $15 million in prizes, everybody's a winner here at Arby's. They're winning Arby's food, thousands in cash, Chevy Novas, even a Corvette convertible.
Come to Arby's today for your World Series winners game card and win food, cash, and cars.
I won!
Bill?
I won!
Oh, Phil? Phil?
Arby's World Series winners game. Everyone's a winner.
Slide! Yes! Yes! Oh, I love baseball. I'm so glad to get to watch the World Series.
This isn't the World Series. These are the playoffs.
Well, of course they are. That is ridiculous. What are playoffs?
After each team plays 162 games, the best teams play to decide who goes to the World Series.
162 games?
Right.
How do they get time off from their jobs?
Don't miss our show, Perfect
Strangers.
Wednesday nights, followed by Howard Hessman in Head of the Class.
Now the hammer throwers in the Houston batting order as Dwight Gooden comes high and tight to Glenn Davis, who had 31 home runs and 101 runs batted in for Houston this year. Kevin Bass will follow, and then Jose Cruz. High fly ball, deep center field. Dykstra going back to the wall. It's gone. He put it right in his wheelhouse.
He threw the best pitch that Dwight Gooden can throw, a high fastball. You talk about power to power. It's an old cliche, but applies here. This ball has hit a ton to center field.
It went out of here at about 399 feet. And it's 1-0 Houston with Kevin Bass coming to the plate.
Tell you you what a great story Glenn Davis is. Suicidal tendencies as a teenager, taken in by the parents of Storm Davis, the pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. Makes him obviously Storm's stepbrother.
Also playing with a plate and screws in his right arm from a high school football injury, but he's settled in and is on his way to stardom.
Is he ever?
Kevin Bass, another bright star for these Houston Astros, stands in and takes a pitch whistled in from Dwight Gooden for a strike. Switch hitter. His best power side is the right side. But he's quite strong, has good bat speed, and he's got good foot speed. There is no substitute for foot speed. I don't care what your sport is. That's fouled away.
Pardon me, Keith, only asset in baseball that you can use offensively and defensively.
Of course, the remaining fact about baseball is in this game, you've got to win your way into the championship series or World Series. There are no at-large appointments in this game. Almost nailed it.
Well, you saw the first pitch to Glenn Davis, and now the 0-1 pitch, or make that the 0-2 pitch to Kevin Bass. Now, the one thing noticeable about Gooden this year is he has been coming in on hitters more than in the past couple of years. That pitch had a purpose.
Just low. They appeal. Third base umpire says no. Dutch Renner. A lot of wisdom there between home plate and third base, those two umpires.
Logged a few years together.
Ball is bounced, foul down the first base side. So the count holds at 2 balls and 2 strikes with Jose Cruz. I think one of the least known stars of today's baseball generation. Man has had a brilliant career. Getting up into the 30s now, and probably not too many years left. But he has had a great career here with the Houston Astros from Puerto Rico. And the pitch is outside to Kevin Bass. And now it's a full count, the first we've had in the game, 3-2. Glenn Davis home run, giving Houston the lead 1-0. Shot down the right side, going to the corner. Could be extra bases. Bass turns first. Well played by Strawberry in the corner, and it's a double for Bass. So a home run and a double by the first 2 men to face Dwight Gooden here in the home half of the second inning.
Well, a 3-2 count. You notice how Hernandez plays off the line. He plays all hitters off the line because he figures that balls down the line are doubles or extra base hits. It's up to the pitcher and catcher to keep the ball away from the line.
And now Cruz will go with the pitch wherever it is. Swings through the fastball and misses, and that was in about the same location where Davis lost it.
Yeah, this is one of those overrated situations in baseball where you say you've got a left-handed pull hitter with nobody out and a runner on second base, and you ought to give yourself up to get him over. I'd rather have a guy swinging the bat as well as Cruz try to get him in, not get him over.
He unwound on that one, and he goes that way again. It's a looping fly ball to center field. Dykstra comes in a hurry, and Bass has to go back to second base. Again, the speed of Dykstra coming to play on that soft little fly ball looped out into center.
Jose Cruz is in the position where he's one of the RBI men. And with a guy like Cruz, you don't want him getting a guy over for the bottom part of the order. If it's Wally Backman getting a runner over for Keith Hernandez, or one of the 1-2 and table setter type hitters for the middle 3, well, that's a different story, but not in that situation.
Alan Ashby, the catcher, .245 average. He's a switch hitter. And Dwight Gooden starts him with a curveball. And again, this is a hitter where you want to change speeds on him, keep him off balance. He will sit on the fastball. Another curve, and good for a strike. So it's 2 strikes on Ashby. Pesky hitter down in the bottom of the Houston order. High. My goodness. Kevin Bass is on second base. You've got 1 out. You got to run across. Greg Reynolds, the shortstop, swinging a bat in the on-deck circle. Way up with that one.
Well, he got 2 strikes with the curveballs. I would imagine he'll go back to a curveball on this count. Because you do have first base open, and if you throw 2 curveballs and miss, then you have your 8th place hitter up. He shook off 1 pitch. We'll see.
Turned it over, and it's inside.
And he might throw another curveball here.
3-2 to Ashby.
Ashby does sit on the fastball, and you saw what Bass did on the 3-2 fastball. And with first base open, even though it's the early innings and you don't want to get too many base runners on, I think you might see the breaking ball again.
Yep. All 4. Now comes Craig Reynolds, one of those 6 that endured and persevered and came up just short in 1980. This guy can be dangerous, though.
He beat Roger McDowell, one of only 4 players to hit a home runs off the sinking ball or relief specialist with the Mets. Beat him in a home run, and that was the game that Gooden and Scott had worked. Scott carried a 4-0 lead into the 9th inning, the only time those 2 have faced each other this year, and Reynolds won it in the bottom of the 9th with a homer off McDowell.
And he'll have a rip. He'll have a rip if it's a fastball. Shot down the right side, just foul. He jumped all over it, didn't he?
Yeah, if you're saying these guys are fastball hitters, you're right. You're exactly right. But what are you going to do with Dwight Gooden? Throwing lollipop change-ups or something? I mean, this is, you know, fastball against a fastball hitting club. And you got to throw it sometimes. And with Dwight Gooden, you can throw it anytime. The thing is, when you throw it, you want to be ahead in the count. Because when you're ahead in the count, that eliminates a lot from a hitter's standpoint. He becomes a defensive hitter instead of an offensive hitter. And there's a big, big difference.
One strike pitch is high and away. Well, Glenn Davis said it yesterday, and talking about Gooden, he said if he makes a mistake, normally it'll be with a curveball. Because if he makes a mistake with his fastball, it's coming so confounded fast you can't hit it anyhow. But he did, didn't he?
He certainly did. It's like saying one of the Mets is a split finger fastball hitter, and you don't want to throw it if you're Mike Scott. No way. You throw that to anybody with a stick in his hand.
A 1-ball and 1-strike count on Reynolds with Bass at second base and Ashby at first base. 1 run is in. You got 1 out. The pitcher Scott waiting on deck, and Gooden is high and away.
So you see how this pattern's going. 3-2 double by Bass, behind in the count. The 1-0 fastball hit by Davis to center field, and now it's 2-1 to Reynolds. It's not whether to throw the fastball or not, but how you stay ahead in the count. Because these guys, when they get a fastball behind in the count, they're looking for it. And when you're looking for it, it's like batting practice, even if you throw as hard as Gooden does.
2-1 pitch. Change, soft curve, broke it nicely over the inside corner. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, there's your difference there, I think, in the maturity of Dwight Gooden. He's pitching instead of throwing.
He's been doing that since he was 19 years old, throwing curveballs behind in the count, and that was a mighty, mighty big pitch right there.
Ball is hit softly into right field. Strawberry comes, drops in front of him. Bass may not be able to come home. He has to hold because he didn't know whether or not Strawberry would be able to run it down. So the little looper drops in front of Strawberry. The bases are loaded. You've got 1 out, and the pitcher, Mike Scott, coming to the plate. Now, Mike Scott had 12 hits and 95 at-bats on the season. He struck out 48 times. And the last time I said that a pitcher didn't represent any particular threat at the plate, Steve Carlton hit a 3-run home run in St. Louis this past season. I don't know, with the speed of Bass at third, does Scott put it on the ground?
Well, not only put it on the ground, you might think about a sacrifice here. Usually situations like this are relegated for later innings, but with Scott throwing as well as he's been throwing, I wouldn't at all rule out the possibility of a sacrifice. There's Hal Lanier, and we'll see.
It'll be an all-out squeeze because the folks are all over the bases, and Bass now starts creeping down the line at third. Dennis Menke, the third base coach for Houston. Dwight Gooden up to his armpits in trouble right here with 1 out. 1 run in. Strike 1.
See, Dennis Menke, the third base coach, very close to Kevin Bass, and the reason he's down there that close is a lot of times on the squeeze play, a word sign has to be relayed to the runner at third to make the hitter sure that he has gotten the sign.
Check swing. Strike. They appeal it. First base umpire Lee Wire said yes, he went through the zone. It's 2 strikes on Mike Scott.
Now you can, for the most part, forget about the squeeze unless he gets a couple of 3 balls on him. Mike goes too far on this curveball. A good play by Carter on the short hop.
Little difference here with a pitcher at the plate, whereas in the American League you have the DH.
How true.
Swings and misses and strikes out. That is the first strikeout for Dwight Gooden in the ball game. You've got 2 out now. The bases are still loaded, and here's the top of the order, Billy Hatcher.
A lot surely has happened early, hasn't it?
Yes, sir. One pitcher's been dominant so far. The other pitcher has struggled some. But it's still only a 1-run ball game. Hatcher hit a fly ball to left field. Mookie Wilson caught it for the first out of the ball game. His first time up. That pitch is low and away, and Gary Carter boxes it around and contains it.
That was a good play by Gary. Catchers are more apt to catch the breaking ball in the dirt. It's the fastball in the dirt that gets them in trouble. The breaking ball in the dirt is going down, and as a catcher, you anticipate the ball in the dirt.
That pitch is on the outside corner, and good for a called strike. That was just pure heat. Bill Doran is on deck. High pop, right side, coming back, and out of play. This is a ballpark that's tailor-made for the line drive hitters, and the Houston lineup is loaded with them, including the fellow at the State, Billy Hatcher. A favorable graphic for the Houston Astros. It spells pitching for one thing. Hatcher swings and hits another one to the right side, and it's going to curl back into the crowd out of play.
They've won 37 out of 41 when they've scored the first run, but the Mets have come from behind 39 times. That's the other side of the coin. But the Astros have come from behind 39 times also. The leaders in the National League come from behind wins. The San Francisco Giants, who had a marvelous year under Roger Craig. He certainly has something to do with this ball game, doesn't he?
Looking at the base runners, Bass is over at third, Ashby at second, and Reynolds at first. And the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes on Billy Hatcher with 2 down. Third baseman Ray Knight steps on the bag, getting the force at third and the third out of the inning. So Gooden struggles some. The Houston Astros break through and score on Glenn Davis's home run and lead after 2, 1-0.
Guess what thousands of doctors are recommending for women who need extra calcium? Tums. Surprised? It's true. Tums isn't just a great antacid, it's also rich in calcium.
You're about to come face to face with something extraordinary. American Airlines Fall Super Savers. Super Saver fares are just $39 to $159. So call today because space is going fast.
We stay as new as you do, so you can live the way you want to. We know the way you love to live with GE, and this is what we give. We give you time to live your dreams in style, to let you see the light that lights your life, the light that sees you through. Joy to catch them when they smile, and you know all the while this is the life for you. Time to let you live your life, to let you see the sights and hear the sound of music in the night. Smile, we stay as new as you. We'll always be GE. We bring good things to life.
Our presentation of CFA College football this Saturday following game number 3 between the Mets and the Astros, the top-ranked Miami Hurricanes at Morgantown, West Virginia. That's not always an easy stop. But Don Neyland's Mountaineers having a little trouble this year. And the old traditional over in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas with the State Fair going on, Oklahoma, Texas. That'll be about 3 o'clock on Saturday here on ABC. Now for the New York Mets. As we go to the top of the 3rd inning, it'll be Rafael Santana, Dwight Gooden, and then the top of the order, Lynn Dykstra. Santana, the shortstop, takes a strike from Mike Scott with a batting average of .218. Glove is so good they can tolerate a .218 average. Strike 2. Dwight Scott's got his neck bowed, doesn't he? Coming right at him.
Got his fingers bowed, too.
Foul back. The irony of Roger
Roger Craig teaching Mike Scott the split finger fastball, of course, is it's against San Francisco that he nails his no-hitter.
Yeah. And clincher.
Oh, great play by Billy Doran.
Oh, this is just a marvelous play by a marvelous player. This ball is scorched toward the gap. And watch Doran. Oh, that's a full extension. It's like Greg Louganis going after that ball. Boy, that is a fine play by Doran.
You don't hear anything but superlatives about him from the opposition, because he's been making plays like that ever since he became an Astro. Now the Mets pitcher, Dwight Gooden, who has 7 hits and 81 at-bats this year. But he only struck out 16 times, so it must mean that he does make some contact with the ball.
He will talk to anybody in the world about his hitting. Anybody who'll listen. He loves to talk about hitting. And would prefer to bat left-handed. But the Mets management, with that right arm of his, no way he's going to expose it.
Strike 2. As we mentioned, he's contemplating, in fact, it is scheduled. I shouldn't say he's contemplating. It is scheduled, the wedding in November. Colleen Pearson, his high school sweetheart. They're wed in Tampa. That's fouled away to the right.
They're going to be wed November 15th, and Carlene's birthday is November 13th, and Dwight's birthday is November 16th. So they're sandwiching that. They met in church back in 1982.
Pitch is just outside as he snapped the slider off and missed with it. It's fun to see a young man like Dwight Gooden who goes home when the season is done. He puts on his overalls, relaxes, and then he goes back into his training regimen and gets ready to go back to work. And he swings and misses, striking out. So that is 5 strikeouts now for Mike Scott.
Well, Dwight's not going to put his overalls on after this, but he's going to go home with that fastball. I'll tell you. Great Scott, he has been that this year. Certainly the front runner for the Cy Young Award. You have Fernando Valenzuela also with 21 wins.
Lynn Dykstra bounced out to the first baseman on the first pitch of the ball game. One of the things about this fellow Scott, though, as we noted early before we came on the air, we were perusing through the stats. Bouncing ball out to the second baseman board. He throws out Dykstra to fire the side. But 8 of the 10 losses by Mike Scott this year were by 1 run. 1-0 Houston.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh yeah.
It's the rhythm on the road. It's the pulse on the street. City and town, a magic sound. The heartbeat of America. Chevrolet. Chevrolet.
Time's running out to play McDonald's NFL Kickoff Payoff.
Oh, no! But I just got started!
Less than 2 weeks left to collect your favorite NFL player trading cards.
It's not enough time!
Less than 2 weeks left to play and win great McDonald's food prizes.
So let's get going, guys! Come on!
So hurry in to redeem last week's cards and collect more.
McDonald's! Wait for me!
The #1 team in the nation, the Miami Hurricanes, take on West Virginia. Or 6th-ranked Oklahoma tackles Texas. Coverage begins tomorrow with College Football Today.
The Astrodome is full in Houston. With their team leading 1-0, the crowd now relatively quiet, but it may pick up its tempo any moment, and its decibel count will rise as Bill Doran, Denny Walling, and Glenn Davis come to the plate. Doran, born and raised and lives in Cincinnati. Coming up through the minors in the 80s, they knew this young man was going to be a player for them. They went ahead and traded Johnny Ray, if you remember, to the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 1981. Got Phil Garner. A lot of people were carping about it, but Phil Garner turned out to be a very valuable member of this Houston infield as well, and Doran is going to be a big star. He hit a fly ball to left field his first time up. He is 0 for 1. Houston's run came on a 400-foot home run by Glenn Davis, and he is the #3 hitter scheduled in this inning. Dwight Gooden now goes to 2 balls and no strikes to Doran. That's just low. Davis homered, Bass doubled. Gooden walked Ashby. Reynolds a soft single. Houston stranded 3. Back in the 2nd inning. There's a strike, 3-1. Both teams came into this series on a 5-game winning streak. Doran pulls it foul down the right side. The Astros won 15 of their last 19, and the Mets won 11 of their last 13. So both came in on an up note.
Mind you, the 1969 season, the first year of divisional play, when the Mets and the Atlanta Braves met each other, both having 9-game winning streaks.
3-2 pitch. Sharply down the right side. Great play. Hernandez. Gooden covers it, and Hernandez throws him out. Is there anybody better over there?
No, I've never seen anybody better. Watch this play by Hernandez. He's playing him the same place he was playing Kevin Bass. Great extension. Now he throws from his knees. State-of-the-art first baseman.
Sir. Now Denny Walling. 0 for 1. Up there.
Not only does Hernandez, by playing off the line, make plays like that, but by playing off the line, he allows Wally Backman, who is weaker going to his right, to play closer to second base.
That ball is hit sharply. Hernandez gloves it and throws to Gooden. So that 3-1 combination is good for 2 outs. Here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Now it is Davis. Comes up for it. Glenn Davis with a home run at 400 feet in the 2nd inning. I guess the most consistent long ball threat the Astros have had since the toy cannon played here. Jimmy Wynn.
Several guys in the league that can small up their own ballpark, and this guy's one of them. 17 home runs in this park this year.
That's a shot down the left side. Great play, Ray Knight. Throw, got him. 2 fielding gems in the inning on the corners by the Mets. One by Hernandez and one by Knight, and the Astros hit the ball sharply off Gooden, but they are turned away in order. And after 3, it's 1-0 Houston.
This ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by General Electric. At GE, we bring good things to life.
First, someone gets an idea. Then someone else may look at it differently. Even add a thought or two. Technology from a company called TRW helps ideas get around. Because getting an idea from one place to another is as important as getting an idea. Tomorrow is taking shape at a company called TRW.
Why just eat at home tonight when cooking with cheese, glorious cheese, can take you anywhere? Try a taste of Texas with a Colby tamale pie. Warm up to a bowl of Yankee seafood and Gouda chowder. Or bake up a Chicago deep dish pizza with lots of mozzarella. Visit your Dairy Case today for your free regional cheese recipes and enter the Cook Regional with Cheese Sweepstakes. You can win some real tasty prizes.
Y'all ever been to Georgia?
We need some live entertainment.
Madman! Hey, Fuller! You bring Whoppers for everyone? It's a big classic.
What?
From Wendy's.
They've never heard of... You haven't either? Okay.
The Big Classic.
Introducing Wendy's new Big Classic. The soft Kaiser bun, the fat tomatoes, the fresh toppings, the beef. This is the good stuff.
Big classic, big classic, big.
Easy, crowd.
It's our pleasure to visit for a moment with the Vice President of the United States, to George Bush. And I knew that they were having a championship series in Houston. You were going to come.
Hometown. And what a thrill for this city, and great ball game so far.
Impressed by this fellow, Scott?
Scott, stronger and stronger. He's throwing harder and harder, it looks to me like, but he mixes it up, too.
How did you guys lose twice to California teams in College World Series?
We managed to do it. They were tough, though. They had Jackie Jensen and a couple like that in the old days, though. Long time ago.
That's that's fun, though, to have played in the first College World Series, wasn't it?
Yeah, first two. I've played in 47 and 48.
And now the colleges of the nation are becoming kind of a farm system for major leagues. You know, more and more players are coming on.
Yeah, look at the Red Sox pitcher out of the University of Texas.
You going to go to the football game, the OU Texas game Saturday?
Gonna miss it, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's too bad. That's always a grand time.
Good to see you. Thanks a lot.
Vice President, thank you.
Good to be with you.
Vice President George Bush, we go now to the top of the fourth inning. And Mike Scott, who has just been utterly dominant so far in the ball game, pitching to Wally Backman, Keith Hernandez, and Gary Carter. They're throwing pitches, Mr. Vice President, that they didn't have when we were out there hacking away. Lifted out to left field for Jose Cruz. And he makes the catch for out number one. Thank you, sir. Now Keith Hernandez walking to the plate.
Mike Scott has thrown 31 pitches and 26 strikes so far. Wow. That is a wow. That is a wow.
Gary Carter is the third man scheduled to come in this inning. Houston leading 1-0. Here's the matchup between Hernandez and Scott.
No other player in the National League has as many as 3 home runs against Mike Scott, and Hernandez has 5.
That's a base hit. The first one in the ball game for the New York Mets, and he just roped it into right field.
Well, the 1-0 count again. Mike Scott, I say again, a situation in which a pitcher has fallen behind. And it seems to be that's the way you've got to treat both of these pitchers. Hope they get behind in the count, look for a pitch, and then try to nail it.
So here's a threat at the plate now. Long ball threat in Gary Carter. Struck out his first time, as did Hernandez his first time. But now Keith has hit a single into right, and Carter stands in. And Scott drills in with a strike. his cut. He had a fastball up and didn't get it.
He's not going to get that pitch again either. He's going to get split-fingered fastballs, especially the way Gary reacted to those pitches his first time up.
Got ahead. 2 strikes. Hernandez off first, 1 out. Pitch inside and low.
That was the same pitch that Carter struck out on the first time up. You know the amazing thing, Keith, about Mike Scott, he's only thrown 3 wild pitches all year, which says something about Alan Ashby and the job he's done behind the plate.
Swing and a miss by Carter. Two down. That's 6 strikeouts now for Scott.
Well, this pitch is just unhittable. The split finger fastball, and watch it drop.
Darryl Strawberry with 2 down, and Keith Hernandez on first base in the top of the 4th inning, and it's outside. The 6 strikeouts, 5 have been swinging, and 1 called. The one caught looking was Strawberry.
Tell you, the Mets complaining about the illegal pitch that Scott's been throwing. They ought to complain about the legal one. That's a split finger fastball.
Bouncer to the second baseman, Doran. Flip over to second baseman to Reynolds for the 4th on Hernandez coming down, and the side is retired. But the Mets pick up their first hit of the ball game. In the middle of the 4th, it's 1-0 Astros.
Warm moments on a cold winter night. Good conversation, easy and light. And how about something for your appetite? Let our gentle flame cook up something right. Warm moments for those warm moments. Nothing warms you like gas.
Warm is what a gas home is all about. And if you're beyond natural gas service, enjoy the efficiency of gas by using propane.
Nothing warms you like gas.
An investment firm is only as impressive as it is responsive.
It's a go.
So when interest rates fell, we looked for new ways for our clients to make money and developed unique opportunities like the Prudential Real Estate Investment Trust, a first of its kind in a way to take advantage of changing markets. While others may imitate it, we're busy surpassing it. If anyone can show you bold new thinking in the business of making money, let's close it. It's Prudential Beach, rock solid, market-wise.
You know, the weirdest things happened to me, Elvira and Mistress of the Dark. I mean, here I am stocking up for Halloween. I got my steak, got my ribs. Then when I asked the stock boy where the Coors Light is stacked, he points me to the Coors and Coors Light Halloween display, and I'm on it. Whoa, it's like deja vu. Whoa, it's like deja vu. Look for it where you buy beer. I shop here because they slash prices. There goes another one. Happy Halloween, darling.
Birth control?
Daddy, living in the dark ages.
Father caught in 2 worlds.
I'm 15 years old.
You're 15 years young.
Trying to understand.
You blew it, Dad.
Becoming a family.
I don't know what the rules are, Robin.
Part of the city, followed by Spencer, returning Saturday, October 18th.
8 o'clock tomorrow night Eastern Time here on ABC 7 Central. We'll have game number 2 of the National League Championship Series. Starting pitchers will be Ojeda, 18-5 for the Mets, and Nolan Ryan, 12-8 for the Astros. That'll be at 8 Eastern with the game number 3 between the Boston Red Sox and California Angels in the American League Championship Series coming up on Friday night at the same time. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer and all of our guys, and the 2 teams traveling from Boston to the west tomorrow. Well, that thing turned around in a hurry in Boston today, didn't it?
9-2, the Red Sox over the California Angels. Some errant play on the defense by the Angels.
Kevin Bass is at the plate to be followed by Jose Cruz and Alan Ashby. Houston, as we work now in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Astros leading on Glenn Davis' home run, 1-0. On the Moore's tough inning was the second. He had the bases loaded with one out, having given up a home run and a double. Worked himself out of the jam as the Astros stranded 3. Ball is bounced to Keith Hernandez, and another good play by the Mets first baseman for out number 1. And the sound you're hearing in the background is for Jose Cruz. Breaking pitch for ball 1. Jose is now 39 years of age.
And he's not only played for the Astros for the last 12 years, he's played winter ball 16 straight years. He's played year-round for 16 straight years.
Ball is punched to left field for a base hit. One hop to Mookie Wilson, and Cruz is aboard. That's base hit number 4 for Houston.
Fastball outside part of the plate, and you see that inimitable style of Jose Cruz. And if he were playing in a big media center like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, his name would be from coast to coast.
His truck would have chrome wheels. Alan Ashby at the plate now with one out. Shot to right, base hit. Cruz turns at second. Strawberry picks it up in a hurry and whips it back in. Back-to-back singles now. Cruz stopping at second. Ashby's on first. And Craig Reynolds coming to the plate while Gary Carter and company go to the mound to have a visit. Mel Stottlemyre is standing there with Davy Johnson. Mel, of course, great pitcher for the Yankees in his playing days. And Davy Johnson has all the confidence in the world. He let Stottlemyre handle that staff. What about Gooden? You know him, Tim, as well as anybody.
His problems this year? Well, they're a combination of a lot of things. His third year in the league, a lot of the hitters are laying off the pitch that's a ball, the high fastball. And Gooden has talked about trying to carry the load earlier in the year. He got his mechanics messed up. He started striding too far.
Runners take an edge, and the pitch to Craig Reynolds is fouled back, and he jumped on that fastball again.
I think a lot of baseball people, when they talk about a pitcher overthrowing, what they really mean is that he's overstriding, consequently not getting on top of the ball. You hear that expression so many times. That certainly was one of the problems this year. Early wildness in the count and counts, which he has shown tonight, and yet he trails only 1-0.
Cruz off second, Ashby off first. Pitch is looped down the left side, drops foul. Right off the hands. And it was fouled by a good 6-7 feet. With the left-handed batter at the plate, Hernandez, with one out, is well back down the line at first. And that enables Ashby to get the big lead. I mean, he's way up on the carpet at first base.
Well, catchers need big leads. They ought to put that base about 10 feet out for catchers. They need big leads.
Ought to give you a handicap, huh?
Of some kind.
Two strikes on Reynolds with Scott on deck. Punch to the left side, base hit into left field. Here comes Cruz around third, and Mankey holds him. As Mookie Wilson comes in a hurry, respecting Wilson's arm, there was no threat to send Cruz home. The bases are loaded once again for the Houston pitcher, Mike Scott. Back of the second inning. With one out, the bases loaded, he could have helped himself mightily. Here's the base hit now into left.
Reynolds just poking that ball to left field. Ray Knight didn't pick that ball up. You saw him move back toward the bag. He didn't pick that ball up real well. And now Mike Scott is going to talk to Dennis Menke, the third base coach. And if you were thinking about a squeeze play in the second inning, the fact that Scott struck out swinging on 3 straight pitches and Billy Hatcher went down might be an indication that the squeeze, certainly, there's no other reason for Menke to be talking to Mike Scott.
Right, and the New York Mets now have had a conference at the mound with all of the infielders, and they're undoubtedly thinking along the same highway.
And this is how a squeeze sign is delivered. The coach gives it to the batter. The batter does something unusual, like looks back if he's not used to looking back, and then that relays it back to the coach, and the word sign goes to the runner. Sounds complicated, but it happens in a split second.
Hernandez poised to come at first. Scott swings and fouls it back.
The speed of the runner at third base is insignificant in a squeeze play. As a matter of fact, Eddie Stanky used to tell us when he was training us about what to do on a squeeze, to take one step back toward third to prevent from breaking too soon.
Scott swung away at the first pitch. And now Gooden bluffs, screws back toward third. Jose is not the Jose of a few years ago in foot speed either. And he has had arthroscopy earlier this year. Comes down the line. The pitch to Scott. Lifted right side, foul, and into the crowd. And Gooden has the edge of 2 strikes on Mike Scott. Well, he's certainly been in position in successive at-bats to really help himself, hasn't he?
He certainly has.
That might spur him to spend a little more time in the cage in the spring. Two-strike pitch to Scott. Bounce to the shortstop. Second for 1. Back to first. They get the double play, and once again, Gooden dodges a bullet. As in the second inning, and now in the 4th inning, the Astros have the bases loaded with 1 out and can't break through against him. So after 4, it is still Houston 1 and the Mets nothing.
Hello. To help you to remember to ask for the Bartles & James Premium Wine Cooler, Ed has invented some memory aids. When you enter a bar, think of bartender. When you think of bartender, remember Bartol's. When you say Bartol's, think of Bartol's. Then say, bartender, give me a bottle of Bartles & James. This may take some work, but it is well worth the trouble. So please remember Ed's memory aids, and we thank you for your support.
This is the Noid. He loves to ruin your pizza. If you've ever gotten cold pizza or squashed pizza or pizza that just wasn't right, the Noid did it. But at Domino's Pizza, we avoid the Noid. So when you want hot, delicious quality pizza delivered in less than 30 minutes, Domino's Pizza delivers. One call does it all.
Not everyone got a vacation this summer.
I need a vacation. What do you need, some glasses? How many fingers can you see?
This fall, you can still get great low fares to more places on the biggest bargain airline, United.
I got a vacation.
Have a nice shower, Picorni.
I'm not just flying. I'm flying friendly skies.
I'm out of there.
When the Houston franchise started playing the National League, Judge Roy Hofheinz wanted his players to be spiffy on the road, so he arranged them in special uniforms, and Joey Amalfitano, one of the original, remembers.
We used to all dress in these Western tailor-made suits. They were very nice, but
Here you see a group of 30 people coming through an airport, and here they come. So at one time I remember going through the O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and I hadn't had it on. I had received permission not to wear it that day because I had an appointment in Chicago. And someone came up to me and asked me who these guys were, and I said they were an ice skating team from Houston, Texas, which was not the truth.
They were trying times, but the Astros' trying times were not as trying as the Mets were.
That's right. 1962 Mets lost 120 games. But speaking of the uniforms nowadays, Tony Kornheiser of the Washington Post says that the uniforms the Astros wear this year look like that something was spilled in third place at a kindergarten arts fair.
Well, they're going to go. They'll satisfy the sartorial appetites by going to plain white home and light blues on the road. They're going back to the old classic uniform next year.
And not to Washington.
And not to Washington. Mookie Wilson, Ray Knight, and Rafael Santana are the scheduled hitters for the Mets in the top of the 5th inning. Mike Scott bowling along, having given 1 hit so far. The Astros have picked up 6 off Dwight Gooden. And Wilson jammed a little bit, puts it back foul. So it's 2 strikes on Mookie. Scott, when he pitched his no-hitter, got a $5,000 bonus from the ball club, and he gave the money to the Texas Children's Hospital, saying simply they need it more than I do. Fouled again to the left side. I think it's a classic ball club itself. Classic people on this ball club in many, many ways. Pitch is outside, and it's 1-2 now to Mookie.
They were classy before, but the difference this year, they've been classy and good.
Yep. Now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wilson leading off for New York in the top of the 5th inning. Up the middle, flag by Scott. Helped himself defensively there, and he's got 1 out.
Well, he had to make the play to get Wilson.
Yep,
if that ball gets through, then you have Reynolds making a very difficult play because there's not too many guys in the National League that get down to first base from the left side faster than Wilson. The one thing that a pitching coach hates to see is anytime you put that bare hand near a ball coming back, especially on the artificial surface, because that ball has such overspin that it can just slice up that right hand.
Ray Knight hits it long and deep down the left side, but we foul.
That's an upper decker.
Yeah.
Holy cow. It's been a home run in a round park.
Ray, of course, the husband of Nancy Lopez Knight. Outside with that pitch. I would imagine, in fact, Ray confirmed that they have some interesting conversations in talking about the mechanics of the swings in their respective sport, of course. Nancy, the brilliant lady golfer. And there are different mechanics, but still at the same time, there are some similarities as well. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes now. The mayor of Houston, Kathy Whitmire, enjoying what's happening in her city right now.
And if the Astros beat the Mets in this 4 out of 7 series, Kathy's picture will adorn the backdrop on the David Letterman show.
Swing and a miss. That's strikeout number 7 for Mike Scott. 2 down for the Mets. And it's Rafael Santana.
Over the top. And the over-the-top swing is what you get a lot of times when you're trying to hit that split finger fastball because it goes down so dramatically.
That's shot sharply to left. One bounce to Cruz. And Santana, who had scorched a liner that Doran made a great play on his first time up, nailed this one sharply. Actually, he's had more wood on the ball, I think, than anybody in the batting order.
Hit the ball hard, and that nice play, as you said, by Doran the first time, and now the base hit to left that was hit very well.
2 hits off Scott, and here's Dwight Gooden. Dwight, 1 of the 7 strikeouts for Scott so far. Who knows? Maybe Santana will be the Mets' Walter Mitty. Swing and a miss by Gooden. And Gooden leveled on that one. Strike 2. Doug Harvey will check it as it ricocheted off the plate. Fisted to the right side for Doran. Flips it over to Davis, and the side is retired. So the Mets get their second hit, strand their 3rd man of the ball game, and trail 1-0.
Budweiser salutes all the men and women in uniform who proudly serve this great country.
Who has transformed home entertainment